Hi, I'm Sophia Lazare, and I work with Smith Publicity to promote books and their authors. And today I have some tips for a successful radio interview. The first tip I have for authors is it's important to do all the radio interviews that are offered to you, because even the ones that seem very small and insignificant, you never know who's going to be listening to that interview at that time when you're speaking to the host. And all of the little things that you do in those interviews can be used to build up to bigger and better opportunities. So it's important not to turn down interviews if at all possible. The other tip I have for authors is it's important to be prepared. So all of these radio stations generally have websites, and you can go on them and listen to previous shows, whatever things there are, little bits of information on the websites. It's important to be familiar with the show that you're going to be on, be familiar with the host, what kind of questions they tend to ask, things like that. Another important tip is it's important to use a landline telephone. This is because cell phone reception isn't always the most reliable, and when you're on your landline telephone, you should be in a quiet place where there's not going to be any distraction or any background noise. This is to make sure that the quality of the interview is the highest that it can possibly be. Remember that your radio interview is about you. People aren't interested in interviewing a book. This is why we interview people. Radio hosts, when they're doing interviews, want to talk to people who are engaging and exciting. So these hosts are just people just like you, and you want to be able to talk to them as conversationally as possible while still getting your message across. That brings me to my next point. The whole point of doing a radio interview is to get your core message across. The host is going to know generally what your message is, and they're going to ask you questions to direct you towards your message. But if you feel like they're not asking questions that you want them to, it's okay to interject your thoughts on your core message, and most importantly, to promote your book, which is the whole point of a publicity campaign and of a radio interview. So if you get to the end of an interview and the host hasn't plugged your book, which they generally do, but if they have failed to do so, it's okay to say, this whole interview leads me to a point in my book called blank, and it's available in blank store for such and such a price. I hope you'll go and pick up a copy.